We're back with the latest in the Middle East, where the fragile ceasefire deal between Israel and Hamas is holding despite a crisis over the weekend that threatened to unravel it. 4 female Israeli soldiers who were taken hostage by Hamas were released on Saturday and reunited with their parents in exchange for 200 Palestinian prisoners.
Under the deal, Israel was supposed to allow Palestinians to return to Gaza that day, but Israel did not sign off on that, citing the captivity of a civilian hostage who they said should have been freed along with the other hostages. The move prompted Hamas to accuse Israel of violating the agreement, putting the entire deal in danger. But this morning, Qatar, acting as a mediator, announced an agreement has been reached to release the civilian hostage, allowing Palestinians to return to northern Gaza, keeping the ceasefire in place for now.
NBC News International correspondent Raf Sanchez joins us from Tel Aviv with the latest on this. Raf, good morning. So tell us how this all unfolded over the weekend and some of the specifics here, the terms of the agreement that led to this.
Savannah, Joe, good morning. So the whole world saw those emotional scenes as those 4 female Israeli soldiers were released from captivity in Gaza after 477 days. A lot of cheering, a lot of tears in this country as they were brought back to the waiting arms of their parents. What the world did not see was major crisis negotiations going on throughout the day on Sunday. As you said, Israel accusing Hamas of breaching the deal by not releasing an Israeli female civilian ahead of those 4 soldiers. Hamas saying Israel breaching the deal by not allowing Palestinian civilians to return to northern Gaza. And then this breakthrough mediated by Qatar. And what we are now looking at is a very busy, potentially bumper week here in the Middle East. Palestinian civilians, as we speak, on their way back to northern Gaza. We are going to see 3 hostages released on Thursday, which was not part of the original schedule. And then we are going to see another 3 hostages released on Saturday. Now, we learned just a couple of minutes ago, guys, that Hamas has handed some information to Israel indicating that of the 26 hostages who are still in Gaza but slated to be released in phase 1 of this ceasefire deal, 8 of those hostages are dead. 18 of them are still alive. So while there was real joy in this country at the release of those 4 young soldiers, there are going to be difficult days ahead as Israelis learn who those 8 hostages who lost their lives are.
Just adding to the roller coaster of these last 15-plus months. Raf, as thousands of displaced Palestinians were waiting to return home to northern Gaza on Saturday, another huge headline. President Trump had this to say to reporters about what he'd like to see to the people in Gaza.
I'd like Egypt to take people, and I'd like Jordan to take people. You're talking about probably 1.5 million people, and we just clean out that whole thing.
All right, so lots of reaction to this one, including from Egypt and Jordan. Raf, what are people saying?
Yeah, Joe, so President Trump kind of casually throwing out this idea as he was chatting with reporters on Air Force One over the weekend, but it has sent absolute shockwaves through the Middle East. Just for context here, he is basically suggesting moving 3/4 of the population of Gaza out of the Strip, out of their home, and sending them to 2 U.S. allies, Egypt and Jordan. And the response from those 2 nations has been an immediate and resounding no. They are saying this is a complete non-starter as far as they are concerned. The Palestinian Authority is saying they will not see Palestinians displaced from their homes. So a lot of reaction here in the Middle East to those comments. It does point to the question of just how on earth Gaza is going to be rebuilt, given the scale of the devastation right now. And President Trump's suggestion seems to have been that that construction project might be easier if those civilians were not inside the Strip. Guys.
Raf, as these Palestinians do now make their way home, we're showing some video here. As people get to northern Gaza, I mean, just walk us through what they're returning to, what the conditions are.
They're not returning to much, Savannah. UN figures indicate that 90% of the homes in Gaza are damaged or destroyed at this point. That number is likely even higher in northern Gaza, where the fighting has been most intense. Even in the last couple of months, while those ceasefire negotiations were reaching that critical stage, Israel absolutely hammering northern Gaza. The hospitals there are devastated. The civilian infrastructure is devastated. And yet, despite all of that, we have seen just this absolute determination on behalf of Palestinian families that they want to go back to their homes, even if their homes are no longer standing. Guys.
Raf Sanchez, thank you very much.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.